Can you solve this LSAT Flaw question? Pause the video now if you want to try solving it on your own. We're told that a science class stored similar selections of fruit at 3 temperatures, 30 degrees, 20 degrees, and 10 degrees. They observed that fruit stored at 20 degrees stayed fresh longer than fruit stored at 30 degrees, and fruit stored at 10 degrees stayed fresh the longest. From that evidence, the class concludes that the cooler the temperature at which these fruits are stored, the longer they will stay fresh. Notice what the evidence actually shows. The class tested only 3 temperatures, and among those 3, the coldest one, 10, worked the best. That's all the experiment proves. But the conclusion goes further. It claims that the cooler the temperature, the longer the fruit will stay fresh. In other words, it assumes that if you keep lowering the temperature, freshness will keep improving. That leap is the problem. The question asks us to identify what's flawed about the class's reasoning. For this type of LSAT question, you're looking for the gap between what the evidence actually proves and what the conclusion claims. Here, the evidence only compares a narrow range of temperatures, 30, 20, and 10 degrees. The conclusion generalizes that pattern to all cooler temperatures, but temperatures can go much lower than 10 degrees. It's entirely possible that fruit stored at extremely cold temperatures would spoil faster or be damaged. Maybe 10 degrees is actually the optimal temperature. That's exactly what answer choice C describes. The class too readily extrapolated from a narrow range of temperatures to the entire range of temperatures. The experiment only showed that cooler was better within the small range tested. Now let's quickly eliminate the other answer choices. A says the class generalized from the fruits it tested to fruits it did not test, but the conclusion is only about the varieties tested, so that criticism doesn't match the argument. B says the class ignored other factors like humidity and sunlight, but the experiment explicitly says the fruits were stored in similar conditions, so other factors were controlled. D says the class assumed the thermometer was reliable. The stimulus never raises any concerns about measurement accuracy, so that's unsupported. E says the class failed to explain the results, but the conclusion is simply about the relationship between temperature and freshness. It doesn't need to explain why that relationship exists. So the flaw is clear. The class observed a pattern within 3 temperatures and assumed it must hold across all temperatures. If you want to get faster and more precise with LSAT logical reasoning questions like this, book a free consultation with Hummingbird LSAT Prep.